Frequently recited. Present situation of Muslims in India and predictions of Hazrat Thanvi. May God bless him and grant him peace. The role played by ulamas and Sufis in the freedom of the country is an undeniable fact. RSS and fanatic Hindu organizations try to hide lacks of historical facts, but the seeker of truth gets access to the real truth. In the struggle of the last period of independence of the country, the name of ulama of Deoband is prominent. Among these ulama, the name of Sheikh ul-Hind Maulana Mahmud ul-Hasan Deobandi, Hazrat Maulana Hussain Ahmad Madani and Maulana Ubaidullah Sindhi comes as the leader. Deoband was leading the freedom movement of India. India got freedom but with partition. That is, a separate country by the name of Pakistan also came into being. The responsibility of the leadership of the Muslims left in India was the same scholars who opposed the partition. So we are shown only one side of the picture, i.e. we are only told that the ulama of Deoband were against the partition of the country. The demand for a separate state for the Muslims was not made by the religious class, but this demand was by Muhammad Ali Jinnah, who was a secular man and used the name of religion only to succeed in his cause. Avoided it is a pity that the Muslims of India were told only half of the truth and the other half of the truth was put in a cold room. The fact is that a large section of Jade Ulama Deoband under the leadership of Hazrat Maulana Ashraf Ali Thanvi, Rahmatullah Alayhi, hates the Congress. Was he considered Congress to be poison for Muslims because it was dominated by Hindus who were staunch enemies of Muslims, but it is not known why this historical fact was hidden from Indian Muslims. Hazrat Thanvi, may God bless him and grant him peace, repeatedly warned the scholars of India that it is unwise to trust Hindus. Hindus are more enemies of Muslims than the British. Despite being in power, the British made some concessions to the Muslims, but if these Hindus come to power, they will uproot the Muslims. The issue of Khilafah is a Sharia problem of Muslims, but due to the procedures adopted during the Khilafah movement and because of the rejection of the movement by Gandhi, Hazrat Maulana Ashraf Ali Thanvi, may Allah have mercy on him, separated from this movement. However, he said in a council that who forbids measures, take measures, but stay within the limits of Sharia. Since Muslims have made non-Sharia measures the ladder of their success, in this case, success is difficult. If it happened to Muslims, it will happen to Hindu Muslims. Al-Afadat Daily, Volume 6, page 278. During the Khilafah movement, Muslims committed many un-Islamic acts in order to strengthen the Hindu-Muslim unity. They slapped their foreheads and raised Jai's blasphemous slogans. Shouldered the earth of Hindus. They desecrated the pulpit of Rasulullah by making the infidels sit in the mosques. Organized Ram Leela. A religious scholar revealed that Gandhi would have deserved prophethood if not for the end of prophethood. All these objectionable matters were deeply disliked and distasteful to Maulana. Therefore, these things will be condemned again and again in your enclosures. Al-Afadat Daily, Volume 6, page 109. One of Maulana Thanvi's objections was that Muslim leaders have taken Gandhi's words as evidence. Those leaders were waiting for the fact that as soon as something came out of Gandhi's mouth, it should be adapted to Quran and Hadith immediately. Says, there is nothing in this movement that is a suggestion of a Muslim or a scholar. See Gandhi's proposal for home rule, boycott Gandhi's proposal, Kada Gandhi's proposal, migration issue Gandhi's proposal, because all the proposals are his. The only thing is that they agreed with him by saying what he said. Such misunderstandings have badly discredited Islam. It is a deep shock. It is a deep regret. Attempts are made to prove his words with the Quran and Hadith. Al-Afadat Daily Volume 1 page 89-90. In this regard, he narrated an incident that a sermon was given in Saharanpur. A speaker said that people say that if Swaraj is achieved, Hindus will not allow the call to prayer. They say that if they stop cow sacrifice, then goat sacrifice can't be done. Is cow sacrifice obligatory? After narrating this incident, Maulana Thanvi, may God bless him and grant him peace, expressed his deep sorrow and grief at this way of thinking and said, one thing remained in the speaker's statement. If he had also said, there would have been no dispute that if Hindus were not allowed to live on Islam and faith, then they would not live without Islam and faith. These are the people who are the enemies of Muslims. Al-Afadat Daily, Volume 4, page 86. In the spirit of Hindu-Muslim unity, some Muslims took the famous bigoted Hindu leader Sardanand, who went ahead and started the Shadi movement against Muslims, to the Jama Masjid in Delhi and made him preach. Maulana Thanvi, may Allah have mercy on him, was deeply shocked by this incident and he shamed the Muslims that they had committed this act of disrespecting the Prophet's pulpit. During the Khilafah movement, the Hindus were seen by the Muslims also used to praise their leaders. According to Maulana Thanvi, may God bless him and grant him peace, the word Jai is a slogan of disbelief, so this act of Muslims was also objectionable from the Sharia point of view. Al-Afadit Daily, Volume 4, page 611. Those who objected to your non-participation in the Khilafah movement, you would have replied that if you are to be conformed, then the faith has gone. Al-Afadit Daily, Volume 4, page 65. According to Maulana Thanvi, the Hindus were the foremost enemies of the Muslims. Wherever Hindus have been mentioned in your enclosures, you have used the harshest words for them. Maulana Thanvi, may God bless him and grant him peace, had a strong complaint from the Hindus that they fought the 1857 War of Independence side by side with the Muslims and they were also equal participants in it, but at the end of the War of Independence, they not only joined the British. Rather, he informed the Muslims and hanged them. In this regard, he said, "This nation, Hindu, is very kind and forgetful. The Muslims should learn a lesson from this, that the treatment of the Muslims in return for their service to the British is obvious. Look, betrayal started with the advice of everyone, whatever happened, but it destroyed the Muslims. Big nobles and Nawabs got on the throne thanks to them, Hindus. Then Muslims joined the Congress movement and made huge sacrifices. He was rewarded with the issue of Shadi. The events of the past few days are proof of this, that everywhere Muslims are disturbed by seeing the small population of Muslims, but in spite of these things, some misunderstandings enter into their armpits, thinking them as friends." Hazrat Thanvi, Volume 4, page 529, and in an assembly, he said about the behavior of Hindus that the nation of Hindus is not of high courage and their promises are not reliable. If the basis of enmity with the British is that they are enemies of Islam, then Hindus are more enemies of Muslims and Islam than them. Al-Hazrat Thanvi, Volume 4, page 493,494, Maulana Thanvi, may God bless him and grant him peace, used to call the British as enemies of Muslims, but seeing the Muslim killing behavior of Hindus, he came to the definite conclusion that Hindus are more enemies of Islam and Muslims than the British. Once he said, "Black snake is more poisonous than white snake. Therefore, if the white snake is removed from the house, then the black one is there to bite, and it is difficult to survive the bite." Al-Afazat Daily, Volume 6, page 197, Maulana Thanvi, may Allah have mercy on him, was against the Hindus because they had caused a lot of harm to the Muslims. He said in a meeting, "I am very angry with some disbelievers. Due to them, the Muslims suffered a lot and thousands of lives were lost." Emigration lesson taught. Raised the issue of Shadi. Muslims were called to go to Arabia. He provoked at Gurbani Gao. These people are the mortal enemies of Muslims, but they are the enemies of faith, life and property of Muslims. Al-Afazat Daily, Volume 5, page 150, you used to say that, as long as we recite the word, all non-Muslims are our enemies. There is no white or black prison in it. Maulana used to express surprise on this matter. There are two infidel nations in India, so why is there so much hostility towards one nation and not the other nation? Al-Afazat Yamia, Volume V, page 177, in another assembly he said, "Some people call one group of disbelievers bad and some call the other. I say both are bad. The only difference is that one impurity is visible and the other is invisible, but both are impurity." Also page 256, according to Maulana, there was a difference between the hostility of the people of the book and the hostility of the polytheists. In his opinion, the people of the book are not enemies of the religion, they are the enemies of the world, and in addition, they are also hostile to the religion in comparison to the polytheists. Are enemies of religion. Its standard is that as much strength and power as the people of the book have, if the polytheists get it, then do not leave even a seed of Muslims in India. Al-Afazat Yamia, Volume IV, page 83, on another occasion he said, "If the Hindus were as strong as the British, they would not have left a single child alive in India." Al-Afazat Daily, Volume 3, page 71. Considering the hostility of Hindus to Muslims, Maulana Thanvi, may God bless him and grant him peace, came to the conclusion that Hindus will never be well-wishers and sympathizers with Muslims. Al-Afazat Yamia, Volume IV, page 638.